I'm drowning in myself. A calling, direction, focus. I gotta get out of this walking slumber. You lack fulfillment. How dare my mind form a weapon against me? Ah!
Hey, what's going on? I'm 𝐤𝐄𝐄𝐅𝐷, aka Dennis Delamar, and I am the director of Land of Wonder, a new film, a visual testimony, starring Danielle Sells. And we're here just having a conversation, just flowing. And how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So this project is very interesting. We started with Beautiful Lust. That was kind of my testimony, going through the deliverance that, Yahusha, delivering me from, all the things that he's delivered me from. And if you haven't kind of been following about these visual testimonies, Yahuwah had given me this idea about kind of bringing these stories to life, and particularly my story first, and then, whatever stories that he, kind of puts on our heart to kind of bring forth through Zayan Studios. And so we did Beautiful Lust, and that was exciting to just personally to get that out, and then connected with Danielle, and then heard about and then saw her story develop. And I'm not going to tell the story. I'm going to let her tell the story about how we get to Land of Wonder and how that comes about. I hope you have seen the trailer. We played a little bits of it. But I just want to know, like, okay, how does Land of Wonder happen? Like, how does it happen? And how do you get involved to be in your own story?
So, it's not a very long story to it. I was just going through a difficult time spiritually, and really wanting to connect, wanting my life to move forward. And I kind of felt a little bit stuck even after, being immersed and having been delivered through some things. But I just wanted to be able to just connect further and really be able to put that into words. Although the day that the Most High delivered this project to me, I didn't know at the time that this is what it was. Oh, yeah. But it happened, I believe, on Shabbat, on a Sabbath. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I just need to change my space. And so I decided to get into my car, because that's normally where my best conversations have happened with the Most High. Yeah. And pulled out my pen and paper, and I was just like, Father, please give me something. Please give me something, because I really need to hear you right now, to know that you're still working on me. And so Land of Wonder came about, and I just started writing, and it really was more so of like a poetic short story, and it was very descriptive and visual when he put it through when it came through my mind. And it was more so, I can't remember actually what I was going through specifically at the time, but I know that I had felt a distance between myself and some of the people that I fellowship with. And so once I got through the story, I was just feeling so elated and excited to share it with them and with you. And so that's when I was like, okay, let me just share this with them, almost in like a sort of like spoken word type feel. And and that's how it came about. And once I spoke it, we both agreed that it was looking like a testimony, a representation of my testimony and what the Most High has brought me through, what Yahusha has brought me through and delivered me from. So that's how it came about. I
remember reading it the first time, and it was just like immediately, you just start to see visuals, and this stuff starts coming together, and like, okay, something's going on. It's like seeing in color, and then like as far as like music or something, it's like all these things start happening. And so that's exciting. And I really like the part where you said about the inspiration, because when Yahuwah gives you something, it's like you know it because it's like something that didn't come from you. You know what I mean? And and a lot of the projects, that at this point, Zayan Studios gets involved in are those type of stories. The stories that okay, no, Yahuwah made Yahuwah wrote that joint. We just had the pen.
Yeah,
we
literally
was moving,
a vessel.
But you know what I'm saying? But so it's amazing when you see that story, and then when you kind of understand that a lot of people are going through that similar thing that you were going through, because I think that's what our testimonies are. We overcome the beast by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so I guess my next question would be, when you look at this story and when you see it, what do you see? What are the feelings that come through your mind, when you see your story unfolding, and it's oh, this is me, but this is really, really true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is that feeling like?
Yeah. It's honestly, I guess the feeling is one of thankfulness and just gratitude to Yahuwah and to Yahusha for delivering me from that space, because I remember being in that space for such a long time where it wasn't just a feeling of stuckness, but it was I am stuck, and I wasn't moving forward. I wasn't really moving in any direction. And so looking back on it and seeing what Yahusha has delivered me from, it's it just makes me want to praise him all the more, because I just remember that mindset that I couldn't get out of this, that I couldn't get out of this space. I couldn't get out of myself, and it was a bit of hopelessness, I would say. So looking back at that part of myself, at that experience that I had, I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful to be able to use what the Most High has taught me through that situation to press on forward and to know the tactics of the enemy, because truly I did feel like I was the only one going through that, or at least going through it in such a deep-rooted way. When things are happening in your mind, happening in your mind and unfolding in your mind, it really just feels like so many doors that are opening that you can't even shut, and it's what is going on, and it's overwhelming. And so just again, thankfulness and gratitude just to be out of that space.
And so when you come out of this space and Yahusha delivers you, it's like a brand new world. It's man, this is. And of course, there's from my experience, there's warfare and the enemy trying to bring you back in that space, and new tactics and stuff like that. So my thing is, what is the thing that you want to share with people, when they watch this story, or maybe they're stuck in some manner. What is it that they need, you would like them to get, hopefully, from this story, and to be able to apply to their life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I would definitely have to say, I think in one word, in simplicity, it would be submission. Submission. And it is something that, as the Most High gave us a will and gave us the power to choose him, that's something that we have to really, really do each day. And that, in my experience, that has been always the first step to deliverance. That has always been the first step to freedom, to, moving forward. Because so many times I try to just work my way out of things. I try to do my own will and to be my own strength and lean on my own self and my own understanding to get out of things and to really and not just get out of things, but to just be a better person. And even that was something that I couldn't even do on my own. And it wasn't until the Most High kept showing me, like, no, you need me, you need me. So I remember there was something that you had said that really spoke to me a while back. And you had said, thank Yahuwah that he did not let us succeed in our sin. And for me, I definitely have to say thankful for that, because in each time that I tried to move forward where I was stagnant, the Most High was consistently showing me lessons about myself, about the fact that I kept trying to do things in my own power and my own will. I kept trying to really do my own desires and give into my flesh and give into my pleasures and, asking why, playing the victim. And it was just like, no, just submit yourself and truly lean on his word and trust in his word and know that it is true, because he is true. And, and that's something that also has been a learning experience, as well as just speaking his word, as we have talked about recently, to really grasp onto that. Because as you grasp onto his word, Yahusha, you are learning how to love him and to know how much he loves you and how he's been compassionate towards you and patient. And so finding those desires and just to keep fighting to submit, not to keep fighting in your own will and your own power and your own strength, but fighting to submit, and to be in that space. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I think this is, one of the things, and we could talk about it, because we talked about it with some brothers and sisters, and I put some posts up that kind of talk about it, because it was the way, the strategic nature of like how Yahuwah does things is just like amazing, because he'll have you doing one thing and it's connected to this other thing. So I remember at the beginning of this year, just with the fellowship and how the Ruach was moving. We were talking about self-will, like Yahuwah had us talking about self-will for like a long, like it was just weeks on weeks on weeks, and we were just talking about self-will, like, and then the Kobe thing happened. And the Kobe thing happened, and it was just like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, you look at the parables, of, we talked about it. We look at the parables of, the rich man, to build the bigger barns and different things like that. And kind of when you're getting into a space where, you have access to things, it just seems like, your will be done. Like I can move like this, I can do this, ain't nobody stopping me. And that's, that's rich people, but it's other people too that aren't, that feel like, well, I have access to do, I have the knowledge to do this. I don't need, to pray or, submit, you know what I mean? And so that was one of the big eye openers. And then this story comes along, which is like linked to that, because what I saw in the process of like Yahuwah exposing the self-will was like, man, this is a major thing that people are not, because it's like people like bring Yahuwah on, but it's like it's a whole different thing to like submit your will, like you don't even have a will, like your will becomes his will, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you grab his will on. And so that was the thing where it was like coming out of that transition of that. And so I would say what you kind of touched on a little bit, but I would maybe like to hear a little deeper, is that what is the hardest thing about submission? Like what is the battle in the submission? Like what does that look like?
Definitely the word that comes to me is comfort. Comfort, because I was comfortable with where I was. I didn't think that I was in, a terrible space. And really because I became complacent with the space that I was in and didn't feel the need to do anything different. And so for me, just that comfort in and it's also funny because it wasn't just, or not funny, but it wasn't just the comfort in my space, but it was also the comfort in what I knew and what I was acquainted with, even certain thoughts and ideas that I was leaning on, certain experiences that made me feel a certain way. I was leaning on emotions that I had tied to those experiences. So for me, because of what I thought I knew and the comfortability that I felt, I didn't want to submit, I didn't want to submit my will to his, because because I found myself trusting in that comfort, and I found myself trusting in certain things. It didn't have to be anything major, but it was just in my life. I was comfortable in my life. And so I didn't trust that he could or desire to bring me out of that state because of what I was consciously and unconsciously choosing. Because like I said, I did feel stuck, and I felt like there was a part of me that really wanted to move forward, but there was also another part of me that was like, no, I'm comfortable and I'm okay with where I'm at. And so, did that answer your question?
Yeah. And I hear that, because, the comfort, and that's what I feel like, a lot of, we went through and our people are going through, just the comfort, especially when you've like been beat down so long. It's like, it's just like you're comfortable with misery. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the new standard, is like being miserable and just like mediocrity. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's like safe. You know what I mean? Like mediocrity is safe. But it's like, Yahuwah's like, no, he got the great thing. And it's like, because that was the thing that, I connect with this story too, because I remember it was a time where just frustration and like the repeated cycle, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to give the, spoilers or nothing, but the repeated cycles of certain things. And it's like, and it's just more so that space. And that in deep down inside you, that there's something else. There's something greater than just this space that you're continually being in. But it's like, well, how do I believe Yahuwah for that next space? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no, in my experience, there's no like figuring it out. There's no like figuring Yahuwah out. It's like, you just gotta like trust. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's no like, well, I wonder how he going, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, like I just gotta just lay it down. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the, people say the coming to Yahusha moment. And that's the moment where you like just get on your knees and you surrender. You said, I'm done, like have my life. Like you can have it you know what I'm saying? Until people get to that point, it's like, they fighting.
Yeah.
And so I really think this will be inspiring to, young, old alike, and young generations, especially now when, people are, we have access to so many things, and it's like, and that's what I remember we had a conversation about that, with Google and just like the internet and everything is so fast, and it's like the microwave culture, and it's like that thing where like, where does Yahuwah fit in this thing, and you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's going to get more like that, where faith is going to become, or belief or mind is going to become like less and less relevant in the world's eyes, because it's like, it's just everything is accessible. It's like you can get on, you got a question, go on Google right now. You know what I'm saying? You go on Google, Google hit you back, right? And it's like, well, where's Yahuwah fit in that? You know what I'm saying? So that's where we're like coming upon, and that's why I believe Yahushua said that, when he comes, will he find belief on earth? And so this along with slumber, because we talked about slumber, how slumber was linked to the self-will, and how those spirits are like really plaguing us. I just feel like it's a powerful thing for the younger generation. And so what would you say to like the younger generation, like those teenagers like that are coming up in the world so fast, and they got so access to so much information, and you tell them about a book, they like a book. You know what I'm saying? A book. Yeah. Like, so what is, and their parents are disconnected from that. They got they give them the tablet, they give them the TV, and that's that they hope that raises them when they send them to school or whatever. So what would you say to like those young teenagers and even younger, like how do they connect to Yahuwah in this space?
Wow.
You know?
Wow. That's a very good question. I think that the first thing that comes to my mind is to slow down, and to really just be, and to, because you hear a lot these days, to love yourself and to love who you are, and acceptance of yourself, and I have to agree with that, because I know for me, man, I'm still coming into the person that the Most High has created me to be. And I know that for me, I was constantly comparing myself to other people. I was constantly comparing the things that I had to what someone else had. And I always wanted to get to a certain destination and get to a certain level, and if only I got here, then I would get this. And looking for that like happiness. There's like a certain destination that I feel like children have in their minds of where they want to be, instead of just being, and accepting themselves and taking that time to really learn who they are and appreciate who they are, and more so to learn how the Most High created them to be, and to be comfortable in that space. Because it's definitely, I'm going on 24 and I'm still learning that. So I would definitely give them that advice, but that is something that truly, I would also tell them to really fight to spend time with the Most High, and to submit to the Most High and to resist the devil. So resisting the temptations, the distractions of video games and social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that's really popular today. I would definitely say just having that time to kind of, to talk with him, and to learn that at a young age, because I feel like once you start developing that, I know once you have that start forming that relationship at a younger age, it's definitely going to benefit you later on, versus, coming into it at whatever age later on. So I guess that would be my advice, is just to slow down and to really talk to the Most High and learn themselves and how He created them.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because just having conversations with brothers and sisters in the walk, it just the fact of, like, just generation is different. I'm talking about like the mid generation, and waking up to Yahusha and the truth and everything, and they're having children and they're putting their children. It's like the restoration is happening. And what's interesting is, like, when we were growing up, it was like, what do you want to be? You know what I mean? And it sounds like, that's a good question to start asking, but it's like it should be like coming into the world, be like the parents should be like, oh, we are like, you wouldn't give us the download, like we already know, what I'm saying? Like this is the prophecy, concerning your life. Psalms 139, 130, I think it's 139, verse 16 or somewhere around there. Wonderfully made, we are wonderfully made, and He's written all our days in His book, and to really, and I think with this film, hopefully it will spark people to understand that he's Yahuwah, and it's the only begotten Son. Like, Yahushua is so meticulous, that they what I'm saying, Alahym has written concerning our life. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah has written concerning our life in a testament. You know what I'm saying? When Yahushua came, it said he came in the volume of the book that's written concerning Him. So everything was already written out. So that's a lot. I feel like if that is like drilled at an early age for children to understand, man, you already got your life written out. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't too much to like really figure out, but to just seek His face, to come into who He created you to be, like you were saying. And so I because that's the opposite of self-will. Self-will is like trying to figure it out. Well, should I do this or should I do that? It's like, I remember one time, this was years ago, and I was in New Bern, North Carolina. And that's where I'm from, New Bern, North Carolina. Shout out. So it's in New Bern, North Carolina, and I was just like, it was a piece that he given me to write, and which actually still hasn't even been produced yet. But I was asking, well, who am I gonna give it to, and this and that, all these different questions I had, and he was like, well, why do you like need a plan? You know what I'm saying? I got the plan. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that's a good. And in Jeremiah 29:11, Yirmiyahu 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you. And so I think the opposite of this film, or I wouldn't say the opposite, but this film leading into that frame of thought of, hey, my life is in Yahuwah's hands. He's written it. He's taken time to write it out, and I don't have to be worried. I don't have to be anxious about what tomorrow brings because it's already finished. Yeah. And so that's a beautiful thing. And so maybe that was a good segue into, you were talking about coming into yourself. And I know we had a lot of discussions about you playing the role, because it's like, it's kind of one of those things where Yahuwah was like, well, everybody's going to do the testimony. They're going to have to be a part of their own journey because it was you. Yeah. And I know we had some discussions about that. But what was that conversation like that we had, far as like, the initial pushback, and then what was the revelation moment that you got that helped you to get to the point where, you saw what Yahuwah was doing and what he was desiring to do through you? Like, what was that point that, in those thoughts,
So initially, when you were telling me that I had to play myself, I was just so nervous because, this is unfamiliar territory. I've never acted in anything. I'm comfortable speaking in front of people, but like portraying something, acting as something, like reading off lines, I wasn't, I just couldn't imagine it in my head. So I was very nervous, but I definitely would say that even more so deep rooted in me was the fear of what people think, of how they see me, and just the focus on appearances. And that really was trying to keep me from doing this and from acting in it. And so I think the the revelation moment was just seeing the attack of the enemy and how I was making agreements to present myself a certain way, by not presenting myself as the truth, by not representing myself as how the Most High made me. And also just but really shunning the shame of being who you are. And I think that was the revolutionary thought that I was like, oh, okay, this is the thought that I need to start thinking towards myself, is like that I can't be ashamed, because especially when you are talking about the good news, you can't be ashamed of your own testimony. You can't shun away from it. You have to stand in it, because we do stand in it. We are not to be cowards or fearful of anything, but just trusting in the power that is Yahusha, that delivered us, and knowing that and standing firm in that. And so that was kind of the thought process that I ended up, leaning on, was just trusting in the Most High and really leaving it in His hands of how I was going to be portrayed, I guess you can say, and not worrying about how I want to be seen, even with the lack of makeup that that happened in the film, which I'm grateful that we didn't go with the makeup, because it really forced me to even further step out of that comfort zone that I was in, because I was so bent on, I need to look this certain way, and so just it was going from not trusting in the Most High's will, because He did give me, that poetic short story to come into this visual testimony. So, and starting to lean on that.
Yeah. And I think that's major. You know, that was major in this process. You know, for you and just now sharing that with other people. Hopefully, that's major for other people, because it's like, you know, there's so many, you know, great things that Yahuwah has in store that He's written in the Testament. You know, I always share this story that was shared with me about a man who went to 𝐤𐄄𐅅𐤔�, heaven, and he went to this room and it had like all these things in these jars where it was like dreams and visions that were in these jars. And the person that was showing him around, he was like, well, what are these things? What are these things? And he was like, you know, they didn't believe me. You know what I'm saying? And it was dreams and visions. It was because Yahuwah recorded everything. So he was like, look, I sent you this dream on this. I sent you this feeling on this day. You had that idea that just didn't come out of space.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, He's testing us to see, like, are you going to come to me and acquire of it, or are you just going to just let it flow?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is scary. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of, like, you know, fearful, because it's like, you know, you saying this, and I'm like right here. Like, you saying way over here, but I'm like here, and that's how he works, and so this, when we come out of that fear of, you know, well, maybe they're gonna say this, or maybe I talk too loud, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever the insecurity is that's rooted in some kind of fear, like that's when Yahuwah's like, oh, I can use you. You know what I'm saying? Because that fear is gone, and then you put the belief on and the trust, and now he can use you, and then the crazy thing about it was the people whatever you were thinking wasn't even true. Like, it wasn't even a thing that people was like, oh man, like, you know, like you had that dot on the back of your shirt and I seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wasn't even bothered about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's major, and so I'm excited about the visual testimony, and I'm excited about just hearing everybody's stories. You know what I'm saying? Just hearing everybody's stories. You know, 5/30, it's coming out. 5/30, 2020. You'll get to see it, and please, my thing is, you know, I know it gets corny when people just say, "Oh, share it," but really want you to share this if it speaks to you. Like, if it speaks to you, like, share with people that it may make a difference in their life, because because a lot of people, you know, pretty much a lot of people are going through self-will, and if you overcame through Yahusha, then you probably gonna talk about it, because it's like not something that you just and a lot of people ain't talking about it because they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's very subtle. It's very it's very tricky, and so we want to make sure that, you know, we are doing, and we even modified that phrase. You know what I'm saying? Doing, you know, like, and change it to being, because we always find ourselves in like, oh, we're doing this, versus like you know, being who He called us to be, and then the mission and the purpose comes out of that character and that thing that He built within us, and we respond in life, and then things happen, and that becomes the purpose. So I enjoyed this conversation with Danielle. Land of Wonder, man. It's exciting, man. I'm excited. Just a last commentary note, I guess. This film has been really exciting. It was really fun shooting with you. I know you didn't act before, but I was just impressed that you just could, you know, go to those spaces that were needed to go to. So
because I've been in them before.
exactly. It's real life. So that was fun. It was fun, man, and it was a different challenge for me. Even you know, we just shot, you know, Beautiful Lust, and this was like a, you know, upgrade. So and a challenge to just see certain visuals take place in the poetic nature. So I just hope everybody just you get something from it, and Yahuwah Baruchs you through it, and you're able to just share it with friends and family and people that it may, you know, help. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so and let this interview and this story, help you to share your testimony, to put it together, because Yahuwah may have a creative way for you to put it together, man. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a short story, maybe it's just a conversation. But whatever it is, man, never be ashamed of your testimony, because it seals you from the past. You know what I'm saying? It seals you from the past, and it pushes you forward in the future into the things that Yahuwah has for you, and everything that this is one of the things. Closing word, right? One of the things that Yahuwah really relayed to me, he showed me that all your barakah, like your quote unquote blessings, like it's on the road of your testimony. So if you're not walking in the deliverance of Yahushua HaMashiach, and you're not sharing that, because that's what he wants to use for other people to come to know him, then all the doors that are supposed to open don't open. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people are stuck because maybe they haven't even been delivered. Maybe they still need deliverance, or they're just ashamed of the things they've gone through. And so may Yahuwah baruch you for sharing your testimony, and hallelujah, and we're out. Shalom. This is Yahuwah Side once again. This is Delamar, and we're out. Check you later. Shalom.
Shalom.